Thank you very much, Igor, and thank you very much to all Animateka's team to welcome us and give us the opportunity to present this idea, this open call to action. I'm really, really happy to be today with Clémence Bragard. Even if she's not physically here, I'm happy that she's on the big screen over there. And if you don't know Clémence, I don't know how you cannot know Clémence. She's working for l'AFCA, which is a French national organization for promoting animation, or maybe you want to explain that better. And she's also the representative of ACIFA France. And I'm Luce Grosjean, I'm running MIU Distribution. So today we are going to introduce you an initiative. I'm going to share my screen, so you can see what I'm speaking about. That is currently called Keep Festive. And the idea is to create a festival toolbox to feel easy during festival and not queasy. And the idea was to trying to answer all together to the question how to make our festivals safe. I wanted to start with my own experience. I have been traveling the last 7 years around festivals. I've been in more than 20 festivals per year. That has been fun and cool. I love festivals. And I wanted to share an experience that I have been living in 2018 in Adibar. You should go to this festival. It's amazing, the place is beautiful, and it's really nice because it's young people who try to promote animation by financing it, by making big concerts at night, so you also can party and have fun during day and nights. And what I've been experiencing there is at the end of the closing ceremony party, a weird guy that was staying a little bit around the audience of the animation people that were there, glue on me a post-it where he was asking me for sex. And that was a weird experience, but the experience didn't stop there. After that, he sent me emails where he was showing pictures of mail that he tried to send to the office of my company that I never received. And also he was commenting Facebook posts that I had made. And for example, he also asked me to, he told me that he would like me to be his wife and fuck me to make child and create family by love. That was kind of funny, but a little bit creepy in the same time. So I think in my position, it was quite easy to react. I didn't froze at the moment of the closing party, and I had the chance to have been already exposed to exhibitionists or people like that, so I knew a little bit what was a good move to go further. I let the people from the festival know about this guy during the festival. I also let the photographer that was around the guests, because he was the guy who were like watching everything and was not party like the others, so I know also that he was able to help if anything wrong happened. After receiving all the different emails or the Facebook message, as he was still in Peya, I let the people from Animar know about him, be sure that they are also safe. And that has been the worst experience that I had during a festival. So I realized that all the little tricks that I put during this situation was some stuff that we were not really speaking about that often. And after that, in 2019, here in Animateka, maybe you remember I had this speech about not inviting problematic film directors. And it was after a lot of frustration and a lot of lack of reaction of different institutions in France about different situations, but also things that I were hearing. And that was really a reaction of me feeling powerless and also feeling also responsible of this kind of situations, because we didn't do anything or we didn't act in any way. And that's why I made this statement here at this table in 2019. But after that, I think I was a little bit overwhelmed by this exposure, and I refused any kind of gender panel except the one of yesterday, sorry. And but I had a lot of great conversations with a lot of different people. That was festival directors, filmmakers, festival attendees, who all have different tips. And we started to speak with Clémence about what we can create and maybe have a better place to share all these informations and be sure that we can go to festival and be safe. So before explaining you a little bit more where we are and let Clémence present all of that, maybe you already have some tips that you want to share or any experiences, or maybe, yeah, if the audience would like to share something, I would just ask you to speak inside the mic so Clémence can hear you. And also, if you can present yourself, that would be great.
Can I ask one thing, Luce? Actually, it's like, okay, it's sexual harassment, but as I get it, actually, it's like we should all be working towards also other things. Actually, as concretely, racism, it could happen, maybe not in France, but maybe somewhere else.
Don't think that, please.
Okay, okay. And there are other things, I don't know, like accepting handicapped people or whatever minority or bad kind of bad talking or a bad situation that could happen. So it's like, obviously, because of your experience, is sexual harassment, but just to say that it's a broader term, right? So it would include even like men. For example, why not? No, we know, like the women, you are like the most endangered actually here, and when we talk specifically about sexual harassment. But maybe it's a discussion that really should broaden up and just get the topic broader afterwards when it develops.
If I may reply. This initiative has a scope which includes sexual harassment as well as moral harassment, and the idea is to focus not only on the physical uncomfortable situation, but also, as you said, it's Igor, right, who is speaking? I'm not sure because I can't see anybody.
It's Igor, yeah.
It includes also, as you said, bad behaviors such as racist talks or swears or things like that. And we know that it happens everywhere, including in France. There was an embarrassing situation 2 years ago during cartoon movie or forum, I think, that led to the creation of a movement to support the minorities, especially the one from Asia. So that's something that we have in mind, and we focused on, for the first step, let's say, on sexual harassment, but of course we will broaden the topic with the people that will join the initiative to what you suggested.
Yeah, and if I can add also that, Clémence, just for your information, you are back on the big screen because I stopped sharing the, okay. I will do that later. But the idea was, of course, to bring as much of possibility to just create safe place. That's why I didn't speak about gender issues explicitly during my slides. But of course, it's also, if we are taking the biggest scale, normally the population is 50-50, and any kind of gender sexualized issues can happen, like whatever your gender is. But I think it's still interesting to have this focus and then abroad, like enlarge it. Can I say that? I think it's just a way to focus and try to find the good tips and the good tools that we can just duplicate or open it larger later.
Okay, I'm then repeating your question. Anybody has a personal experience would like to share? Maybe it's not easy publicly. That's also maybe one of the problems that you will have. But there is other channels, right, that you will open for this. But I'm just re-asking. Is there anybody who wants to say something like?
We can also open the floor later. Okay. The idea was just like we didn't want to arrive and show you what we already have done, and if you already have some experience, I mean, tools that you want to share or things that I would like to, you feel free to interrupt us or share things. That would be nice. And because I'm still alone, even if Clémence is here, so.
Just so you know, we will get to that point in detail later, but we've been talking and discussing with the festival organizers, and we got some feedback from some of them, including from Fantoche. And we had an interesting testimony about what they decided to set up during their events to make their attendees feel safe, which is very common, and it's a lot of things that may seem obvious, but still we have to shape all these kind of habits to make sure that they will be followed and used. And so it's, for example, when you go to the bar, whether it's the festival bar or any kind of bar, and you ask to the bartender, is Louisia here? Then that means that it's the secret code to ask for help because you are experiencing a non-comfortable situation. So that's one of the ideas that we would like to include in the toolbox. But maybe if you don't have anything to add or to, I don't know if there are some people who would like to react in the room.
In front of me, no one is putting their hand up, so I can reshare the screen and okay. You can go through what we had in mind.
I can't see you, so I'm just assuming that you are 2,000 people in the room.
There are, or actually, at least it feels like that.
30 to 40, Clémence, just that you know, so it's kind
okay,
of...
nice. Yeah. So yeah, let's go further in the presentation and to explain to you the concept outline that we came up with Luce. So we tried very simply at first to answer to these questions. Who? So an international network of trustworthy people to rely on when you feel unsafe. That's the kind of people we'd like to gather and to commit to this initiative. What? So as Luce said, to create a toolbox and an information desk available for festivals, organizers and attendees to ensure good behaviors, as we said earlier, sexually or morally. When that initiative aims to be active all year long following the festival's dates, where online through the website that I will present, and also on site, thanks to contact persons from the festival organizations, the local structures, and the organisms and some members of this network that we aim to create, who will attend the events. How? Through communication supports like posters, flyers, stickers, as well as a welcome guest kit, a hotline, an email address, and some people available around. And what for? As we started, to feel easy and not queasy when you party. That leads me to the presentation of what I said earlier. We target two groups. So the festival organizations and the festival attendees. And for them, we would like to create new habits and tools that will block all kinds of harassment, So just a few examples as a festival before your event. If you have any doubts on the behavior of one of your guests, such as a jury member, a filmmaker, in position of power that you aim to invite, then we'll suggest strongly to ask the people that you know around you that already invited that person, to be sure that your festival will be a safe place for the other attendees while having that person around. During the event, you will certainly have some harassment happening in different moments of the event. And of course, the parties are moments where everyone is more focused on having a good time than controlling what is happening. And alcohol is often a part of these parties. And we know that we are quite unequal in our drinking possibilities. So most of the time, the sober people in the room are the people from the festival organizations, and that's why we would like to rely on them, especially the volunteers and the head of volunteers. So we'd like to make sure that if they see anything wrong during the event, they could feel free to ask if the people in a weak position are okay, checking on them and clearing them to be sure that everything is all right. These are just examples, of course. And as an attendee before a festival, you can, of course, and we'd like to make this another habit to check the festival's guest lists to see if anyone make you uncomfortable, and to feel free to let the festival organization know that you don't want to be alone wearing this heavy situation. So yeah, that's another example. And of course, if you are experiencing or witnessing any misbehavior, even that you think it may be just in your opinion or just a feeling, then we'd like to that this person to feel free to contact the initiative or the contact person on site, and to make sure to report it and to complain, because that's the next step of this kind of heavy situation. May I go on? Or?
Should I change the slide?
Yeah. So we'd like to present to you our main goals on year one, because as you may have understood, it's a very new initiative, so it's still getting in shape. So we started by thinking that the main issue is that the festival's attendees do not know the country where they travel usually, and that make them in a situation where they are very vulnerable. They do not know the language, the habits, and anyone except the festival attendees and organizers. So we've been thinking that there is a need that must be addressed, and Keep Festive offers to fill this gap by connecting people to the ones in need. So the main goal is to create that network that we mentioned. We are aware, of course, that there are numerous relevant initiatives, such as the 50/50 Collective in France, working with professional unions, associations, public institutions on those aspects. And but we think that Keep Festive can share widely these pledges and code of good conduct to our network. So first, we'd like to define a legal status, whether it would be a collective or a non-profit association or something else. We'd like to create a visual identity and to validate the initiative's name that we like, but we are totally open to suggestions. We'd like to create groups to build think tanks on different subjects and draw together a global scope of how we can work together in a relevant way. We'd like to write a pledge and a guide of good behavior that could be used by animation festivals, but not only. We'd like to share and display tools and communication supports in festival. And finally, to create a website, so first in English, which will include these resources and contact lists. So next slide. Just a short explanation of what the website will look like. We decided to focus on a website and not instead of focusing on social networks, as we think that that website will be like an information desk and not a way to discuss and to argue and to like or dislike and that's all these things that happen usually on social networks. So that website will include the pledge and the code of conduct, frequently asked questions section, so such as what is sexual harassment, what is racism, or things like that. We'd like to include a toolkit, a list of contacts, a list of local relays and contacts, such as local associations or hotline. And we'd like to create a dedicated hotline that will be accessible through the internet network, such as WhatsApp, but not that one, and an email. Can you move? Thanks. So far, we have been contacted, as we said earlier, some festivals, and we got feedback of a dozen of them, including the ones that you can see on the screen. And we are very happy and we'd like to thank them for their support. So AnimaFest Zagreb, Anifilm, VAF in Viborg, Annecy Festival, Kaboom, Ottawa, Anibar, Tricky Women, Animateka, and the French Animation Film Festival that I run in France. And so we'd like them and other festivals and festival guests to be involved to this initiative and to commit to the following principles. Select one reference person, so for the festival organizers, such as the head of guests. Share and display the tools to the team and to the audience. Share the reference person's contacts and the hotline number to reach. And include the initiative description, contact, website in the welcome email that all filmmakers or guests receive before their arrival.
Yeah, and if you want to engage and be part of this toolbox, you can directly scan the code. I hope it's working, even if there is a Zoom window on it. But yeah, normally it's working, and you will be able to fill a form where you can just give us your contact and be sure that we will contact you. And if it's not working, we can send it to you later, of course. And so maybe it's time to go back maybe to you. If you have any question, remarks, anything else to add, we will anyway welcome you to be part of our first meeting, where it will be like a presentation meeting to go one step further on today. It will be on the 4th of January at 5 p.m., but it will depend on your time zone, obviously. And yeah, maybe you want to add something. The idea was really today to just present you what we have in mind, but especially that we are both, Clémence and I, French. We have this maybe really French point of view or Western point of view, that we want to be sure that we are not overlooking on certain situations or information that we don't have. So we will be really happy and we will really appreciate any comments. And you are in the dark, so I cannot see anything, if there is people who are like putting their hand up or not.
Any comments from all of your audience? Thank you both. Thank you, Clémence, and thank you, Luce, for the great presentation. I think it's an important initiative that we really need to acknowledge and take part in. Yes? All clear?
There is Olivier Catrin who just put his hand up.
In my experience, most of the problems are starting during parties with alcohol, something like that. So it's very difficult to manage and to find some solutions in this kind of situations, and some things can go on after, and that it's more easy to manage. But maybe to identify some person that could help could be a solution. During the moment it happens, most of the time it's very difficult to deal with. What Igor was saying was a good example of just people getting mad or losing their mind.
Okay, more hands up. There is Spela who is taking the mic. I feel like a football.
Sorry, it's the mask. Hi, Clémence, it's Spela. Super nice to see you, even though only on the screen. Actually, I had a very bad memory. You probably remember my jury staying at the Annecy. It was very, and I was thinking during this, I mean, it wasn't a sexual harassment, but it was definitely a harassment because I was a woman and I was young, and I was treated that I shouldn't have my own opinion. And it didn't happen only then. I have to say that I had 2 more times a similar decision, especially once it was very strong in Korea by a French filmmaker. And it's probably, for me, I think awareness that maybe it's always good, because in that point, Clémence was a really important person, even though she was very young, but she was, as a jury babysitter, as I call these supporters, very important role to like stop the violence against my own opinion. And I think this is important that that there is maybe always a trust person during this, I would say, power decisions making. That would be my sort of putting to. And on the end, I was like Olivia said, oh yeah, that's because everybody knew that story. And on the end, I felt like I was the one who made troubles in that jury, but actually I was not.
Thank you very much, Spela. I didn't know. And that's interesting to have this point of view.
Thank you for doing this. Hi, Clémence.
This is Društvo
talking. I am really happy that we are doing this, and what I noticed here, that we are all wearing masks and we are following really good rules behavior during COVID times. And what helped a lot is that we were all the time informed by festival hospitality and everybody how should we behave. And I noticed people are drinking, but they're still behaving. So this gave me hope that it's possible also to make that toolkit how to behave on festival. Because I think like maybe a lot of people forget, and when they come and then they receive this package in their when they come as guests or even as jury members, I really like this to grow to that point that we think that's a normal thing, that we talk about this on every festival.
Yeah, I think that the idea would be, as you said, to make this kind of information normal, as well as the one that you receive about public transport, just that everybody know that they can contact that person, because as Igor said earlier and Olivier, when you are facing a situation where you are uncomfortable, you don't want to react directly, and it's nice to know that there is someone around, and I'm glad that when that year I could help Spela in a way in the organization to validate the thing that it's okay just to not to just take all the bad behaviors from other people, just to be diplomatically correct, you know. So yeah.
Hi, this is Tina Sprikar, and I agree, Olivier, that it's, and I think we all understand that it's difficult to react in the moment, but I believe and I strongly am certain that these kind of initiatives will help, and I'm sure this will go on, and I'm positive that a lot more festivals will take part. Just the awareness that something like this is there will help in at least a certain percentage of this not happening, and all the step-ups and follow-up steps, you know, will help in later dealing with traumatizing people with the situations that happen. I mean, because one thing is in the moment, and the other thing is all the time after, because you're left with the bad feeling. And especially, I mean, in a case like you had, Luce, which I was completely unaware of. But I mean, it's you don't, you know, that guy just kept on going, and you can't really do anything. You're just left with this fact, and you're.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of just one example of something that was, I mean, happily it was in Kosovo, and it's hard to cross their border to come to France. But at a certain point, I was like, if I'm dying in weird circumstance or getting killed, maybe it's this guy. You know,
yeah, but it could have been anywhere. That's the point.
Yeah,
it could have been in France. It could have been in Annecy. It could have been in Ljubljana. I mean, that's not the point. The point is that it shouldn't have happened. Yeah.
But it could happen also out of festivals. But the idea is really to yeah, for sure, I'm thinking, like, if I'm going back to Aniba, I will maybe think about that twice before going. I will be like, is it really a good idea? But I would love to go back there. Camilla from Anifilm.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you both, Luce and Clémence. I really appreciate the initiative, and I would like to maybe share my experience, but also ask a question. So I will start with a question, and that is that if you search for any initiative or any kind of activity or action among the live action festivals, because actually from my experience, I mean, attending animation festivals, it's like so kind comparing to live action. So I never experienced anything at animation festival, but I did at the live action, so, or like not specialized festival. So is there something out there, or did you maybe even thought about doing like a festival initiative, film festival? Doesn't matter if it's animation or other kind.
Yeah, if I can reply, I don't know if you have anything to say, Luce, but I've been gathering some tips and information from, actually not from live action film festivals, but from live music festivals, because I think that you are comparing animation film festival and live action film festival, and music festival is another level. There are so many harassments happening during these festivals, and they have created very, very good tools to make sure that these kind of events can just go on existing, and but to make sure that the guests and the participants feel safe. So that's the kind of tools that we like to get inspired from and to adapt them for the animation film festival if they need to be adapted. Some things are very general and we'll use them. I think that with Luce, we realized that we are young ladies and we won't invent something new. We just want to gather some information that already exists and make sure that the people that we meet and that we work with, especially through festivals, can have access to them, and that's it. So yeah, and we'll talk about these tools and this information that I got from music festivals during the first meeting that we'll organize on the 1st of January.
And of course, the idea is not to close what we're going to do only for animation festivals, but I also feel that the community is so strong and so nice to work with, and I don't know much about live action people. So, no, but I think, yeah, first step, I think it's nice also to work on a small scale, but for sure, I mean, that should be used afterward by any kind of festivals in cinema industry.
Okay, thank you very much. And the comment I have, as because I'm a producer, but also a film festival organizer, Anifilm, and we discussed already with Pavel Horáček, our program director, a lot how we can be involved, and we would like to follow the next steps. And I think it's really important to have this code of conduct and to focus on made every and each team member to be familiar with it. I mean, as well as to put it out there for all the attendees and guests. But frankly, I find a bit complicated to have a person who is monitoring, like during an event or a party, because I think, Clémence, you mentioned, for example, the head of volunteers being like a person during a evening event or party who is really monitoring the behavior. This, for example, to me, from my experience at Anifilm, I cannot really imagine. I think it's much more important that every member and every guest is familiar with it and is aware of the fact she or he is attending event with these priorities and with this, with this desired normal behavior. But to from the other part, to have somebody who is kind of monitoring, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally understand your point, and actually I think that in my festival organization it won't be something possible just to rely on one person in the team, but the idea is maybe to have someone as a referent person that will maybe train the volunteers prior the festival for maybe it could be the part of the general information, like 15 minutes on things that they should be aware of. I think it's a bit like what started with the COVID situation in events. In events organizations, they just decided that one person in the team will be the referent person for the COVID safety measures. But of course, it's not that person that is just, just trying to follow every guest or every participant and saying you don't have your mask on. So that's something that should be handled by the whole team, of course.
Maybe if I can add, hi, Sasha here again. I understood this idea more as festival having like a dedicated person that is known to all the guests, that if the situation arises, everybody knows who they can turn to, or where to find some kind of support if they can't or don't feel to be able to react themselves during the situation while it's happening.
Yeah, and sorry. I also think that this person should be trained how to receive this kind of information, and I think it's also like a legal perspective, but also just a emotional perspective, how to like not put the thing on the person who has been harassed or
Yeah, for sure.
Can I just add something from experience of sexual harassment? It's that usually you don't react immediately,
yeah.
but you react way after it. So it's good to know that you have this trusty person even after the festival when things finish, and that maybe it's just that, because I think when we will start to talk about it, when we open up and when we expose the people who are like responsible for it, then maybe we can stop possibilities in the future. But just to say that I don't think that the people will run directly on this event to do that, but usually it comes with a reflection way later.
Right.
I think that we should all be particularly concerned about young people coming to festival circuit, because they really want to be a part of community, because this is obviously a very nice community and very close-knit, sometimes so close that maybe some of the lines are blurred. So I think it's also a responsibility of every, experienced festival, animation festival goer to react when we see that kind of situation. Because I'm just from a practical point of view, if you are a student with your first film on your first festival, you see nice people, you're trying to fit in, you maybe don't even know the person that brought you to this situation. You don't even know who to point your finger to, that person made me feel bad. Maybe now I'm just trying to find a situation that could happen, but I think it could be possible that something like that happens. And I think it's responsibility of every one of us to help people react and find a way to say that they experience something.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think, like, from the speech that I made 2 years ago, I think for me was like where I moved right now in my different political decisions was, this is so stupid to not bring, like just saying that I'm not going to go in different places because maybe someone that I heard has been misconducting before. Like, I mean, it will be only the people that I know and the people from my network that's going to be protected. But if we don't give the tools to young people to understand where the line can be crossed, and we fail to help the industry to be better. And I think you are totally right. And I think it's really the young people that arrived here, I mean, in this really nice industry, that should be aware of all of that, especially when you are like super fan of different artists, or if you just like starting your festival life and you don't know how you can react and who is the juries and the people that may be going to help you to make your next project. So I think it's really where we should also put in phase this.
I'd just like to jump on that, on what you said, Luce. We didn't mention it during the presentation, but of course we intend to share these tools as well with the schools, supervisors and directors, because we think that this kind of information are necessary, as well as the ones about professional status, to make sure that the students, when they'll be graduated, they'll be prepared to go working in studios, but also to attend festivals. And that's definitely some people that we should collaborate with. So yeah, that will be a part as well of our action plan.
All right, I think we're nearing the end. Any more comments? If not, then thank you so very much, Luce and Clémence. And I'm looking forward to attaching this kit to our hospitality newsletter next year, hopefully. Thank you all for coming, and see you around Animateka, and with you, Clémence, hopefully next year.
Yeah, I cross my fingers.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.